this video is for anybody that has dreams of living in the country. If that's something that you have thought about, or if you are actively planning, please watch the rest of the video. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria Chrysler. In this video, I want to teach everybody everything that I know about what it takes to own a rural property near Calgary or in the surrounding areas. So I have done a lot of research myself for what it takes to get into the country or own a rural property. And I know a lot of people that are my age, millennial types, it can be very expensive. So I am going to give an in-depth breakdown of the different options there are to become a rural property owner. Okay, so please keep in mind that prices and conditions when talking about real estate are subject to changing. And this video will be based on just the current prices, okay? So the first option that you have to buying an acreage is doing a traditional sale, resale through an agent. If you are just buying an acreage outright, if you want to be within, let's say, like an hour of the city or the Okotoks, Airdrie areas, typically to get something that has a fairly nice home on it, and something that you can move into that's turnkey, every once in a while something will come up for a little bit less, but typically to get into something that, you know, is move-in ready, you're looking at around $700,000 to $800,000 on the low end. Again, these properties are all going to vary. We have some of the estate areas like west of the city, like Springbank, who has technically their acreages, but they don't have a lot of land, and they're more estate properties. Okay, and those I think start around $1 million in there. I have seen them go up to $5 million in Springbank. If you are hoping to get a property where you can have horses or animals, livestock, that type of thing, you're going to need at least 4 acres. Different places have different zoning, but I believe the MD and Foothills, you need at least 4 acres to have any sort of livestock animals. If you're looking at something with 4 acres or more, you're probably not going to be able to find anything in the Springbank areas. Those properties do exist, but they cost, the land cost for being that close to the city is very high. So unless you have $1 million or $2 million, you're probably going to have to look further out. And anything that I don't explain, just tell me in the comments and I will send some clarification. Okay, so if you are hoping to get 10, 20, 30, 40 acres, you're going to be looking a little bit further out from the city, most likely, probably within that 25 to 45 minute commuting range. There are properties near Turner Valley, Black Diamond, Pritis. Again, the types of properties are going to be different depending on which direction you go. Obviously, going west, you're closer to the mountains, so there's a bit more density with the trees and everything. Going east is more prairie, so they have a lot of those flat lots that they use for hay fields and stuff, but there are residential properties out there. Okay, so another option is to buy a bare land lot and then either live on it or build a house at some point. If you are going to go this route, just keep in mind that you cannot put 5% down on a bare land lot. I believe the minimum is 20% if you are financing. So that is something to consider depending on how much money you have saved up. Okay, not everywhere has building restrictions, but some places will have a time restriction on from the time you purchase the property to when you have to build a house. So that's something that I would find out and get the realtor to check for you if you were looking at lots. I've talked to friends on numerous occasions that have talked about buying a lot and living on it, like either out of a trailer or whatever, like kind of camping style, which is fine. But you do have to be aware if there is that the building guidelines there, because that would prevent you from being able to live there and just bring a trailer or mobile or whatever. Another thing to consider if you're buying a lot is whether or not there is a well and whether or not there is a septic system, utilities, all those things. So if there is no septic, I believe you're looking at between $30,000 and $50,000 to have that installed. Okay, when you have a well on a property, depending on how many people you're going to be living there, or depending on how many animals you have, you are going to have a certain capacity of what that well can handle. So if you buy a property with an old well, and then you are going to move some friends onto the property and you're all going to live there, it might not be able to handle the amount of volume that you would need for showering and cooking and all those things. So again, I'm not a well expert, but that is just something to keep in mind, because I do know a lot of people that have horse facilities and equestrian facilities, and they have to supplement their water because their well cannot supply enough. They have to haul it in once or twice a month or whatever and put it in a big tank so that they don't run out. I'm not 100% sure on what the cost of that is, but I could easily find out. If you're building a house on a bare lot, I spoke to a couple of builders in the area, and they said that you're looking at an average of $200 a square foot to build. So let's say you buy a lot for, I think the low end is $350,000 to $400,000 in this area. So let's say you buy a lot for $400,000 and you want to build a 1,000 square foot house, which is not that big. You're already looking at least $600,000 right there. And then of course, if you need to put in septic, driveway, fencing, any of that stuff. So in terms of it being less expensive than buying a house in the city, I would say that at this point, that is not the case. Another option, if you just want to have sort of the country lifestyle, is Redwood Meadows, or even communities like Langdon. So with Redwood Meadows, it's leased land on the Tsuut'ina Nation near the golf course, just north of Bright Creek. And there's properties that have, I believe, about like 0.3 to 0.5 of an acre. So they're not technically acreages, and you are in the township, so water and all that stuff would be provided for you. But if you've ever been out to Redwood Meadows, you definitely feel like you were in the country. It's very remote. There's a lot of trees. There's a lot of privacy from the neighbors and that types of things. So it is an option to, if you just want to live out there and you only have about $500,000 or $600,000 as your budget, because there are properties that come up for around that price, even less, like even some of the ones that need a bit of work. Just keep in mind that because it's the lease land, some people have an issue with it. Obviously, some people don't. It's basically like owning a condo. You don't actually own the land that the house is on. I believe the Tsuut'ina has just renewed the lease another 90 years or so. I would have to pull up that article, but I believe that, that won't be an issue. Communities like Langdon, which are just east of the city, so it's more of like prairie land surrounding. It's flat and you have like sort of the wide open views, versus Redwood being like pretty dense in with the trees and everything. Langdon has some properties that have, again, like 0.3 of an acre, so considerably large lots, for around the $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 range. This is an option if you just want to have a more rural lifestyle, but you still want to be in the township and have all of the comforts of living in a community and garbage pickup and all of those things. If you are commuting into Calgary, it's very easy to get onto the number 1 or Stony Trail from Langdon. And from Redwood Meadows, you would either come in on Highway 8 or the number 1 highway. But you get more snow on that side, so that's something to consider too if you are doing a lot of driving. 4-wheel drive vehicles are not a bad idea. To give you guys an example, I just pulled up a search of all of the pieces of land and residential land available in this area. So it ranges from 310 acres at 19 million, and then it goes down to the cheapest one here is 130,000 for 3 acres, and this is in rural Wheatland County, east of the city towards Hamlet. It totally depends like what you're looking for and how much room you want and like you plan on doing with the property. So if you guys want to see all of these different properties, just let me know. Give me your email address below and I will send them out to you, because it's just a lot to go through. Well, I tried to cover a lot of different information in this video, and these are just ideas that I've come up with or I've heard people talking about. The friends buying one property and living together is something that's actually come up quite a few times. So these types of things are all possibilities, but you just have to make sure that you're buying the correct property and that the zoning and the bylaws will allow you to do that, and make sure that you're allowed to have more than one dwelling on the property. So I would just get a realtor that can help you find out all that information before you put an offer in on something. Ellie's here. Yeah, so that kind of narrows it down. The few different options, either buying land or buying an acreage that already exists that's for sale, or moving into like a more rural area if you're willing to sacrifice some of the actual lot space. So if there's anything that I missed or there's anything that you want more information on, please let me know in the comments, and if you want to send me your email address, I can send you all of the listings that I was looking at. Thank you so much for watching this video, and have an awesome day.